I've been in the trucking industry for about 10 years, and it didn't take me long to start kind of dreaming about the idea of making a YouTube video based on my career, because when I first started, I was blown away by how little I understood about the transportation industry or the people that operate in it, and the kind of lives that these men lead, and women, but less so. But it's a very interesting industry. And about 3 months ago, I had an accident at home. I wrecked a motorcycle and I tore up my knee, and it kind of forced me into starting an LLC. The situation was, I hurt myself. The doctor gave me a note saying I couldn't return to work, and my company the company I worked for refused to let me come back unless I had the same doctor okay me to go back to work. So weeks and weeks went by, and we had gone through our savings. I even had to borrow money from my father-in-law so that we could make our mortgage payment. And I was getting pretty desperate. So I started trying to figure out what to do. And the only avenue that was left for me, so I used the skills that I've learned, is to start my own LLC. It didn't require me to go past a physical. I was still limping. I still had a pretty gnarly sprain. But I felt fine enough to go to work. I needed to. We were broke. Couldn't go another 2 or 3 weeks waiting on an appointment from a doctor. So I got with the company I'm with now, and I'm not gonna say their name because I plan to make more and more YouTube videos, and I don't want to be in a situation where I told the name of the company I'm operating with and I have some issues with them, and if I said anything about the issues with them on a platform like YouTube, I don't want to get sued. I have not gotten permission from anyone at the company I work and lease to have any kind of media on them. And I'm not saying that this channel is just going to blow up, but I want to leave the possibility of that to happen. So I'm not going to say the name of the company I work for. I will tell you the name of my LLC, because there's no liability on them. My name of my LLC is New Legacy Logistics LLC. And I chose that name because my last name doesn't have any kind of a legacy to it. My father didn't pass anything down to me that I could hold up to saying this was my father's legacy, and there's nothing I could send down to my kids from them. So the idea behind the name New Legacy Logistics is I want to build something that I can pass down to my children. So this channel is going to turn into a sort of a weekly vlog thing. I'm going to try to. Motivation is hard to come by sometimes, so I'm going to try to start recording more. I'm going to work towards getting some more recording equipment. I want to get a GoPro for the windshield, and maybe one for the side mirrors, so I can show you some time lapses of my trips, and I can start pulling out my phone and talking to the phone, basically talking to a camera, talking about what I've experienced throughout the week or the month, and maybe I'll have opportunities to record some conversations I have with people, because I have a lot of interesting conversations with folks. I meet a lot of interesting people. It's an interesting life truck drivers lead. And a big part of what I want to do is just show people what it is we do and how much we sacrifice to earn a living and provide a service for this nation, and how important it is. And I also want to point out That's one of the reasons I want to get a dashboard cam, is I want to point out the dangerous activity that people in real, small cars, engage in. And it might seem really insignificant to the average driver with the certain things that they do, just because they've never thought about how heavy these trucks are and how much it takes to stop one, and how deadly they are to get in a wreck with. So there's going to be a part of my channel dedicated to showing how people behave around trucks, and I'll try to do my best to point out in those moments how dangerous it is, and hopefully some people will see that and try to adjust their behavior. It's changed my wife's driving habits, because I talk to her all the time about how crazy difficult it is to stop one of these things compared to a car, and it's changed the way she behaves around trucks, and I plan to teach my kids how to behave around trucks on the road, and all that will be beneficial to them. But mostly I kind of just want to see if I can find an audience, because I've found myself subscribing to YouTube channels that, when I really think about it, I'm like, why do I watch this stuff? And it's just because it's an interesting story. It's an insight into someone else's life. It's someone else's experience. And I think that truck driving is an interesting enough existence that I could draw a crowd. Maybe not a huge one, but a big enough one to make a difference in my life. And who knows, maybe I won't get any subscribers at all. Maybe I'll get, a couple thousand. Who knows, maybe it'll blow up. But the first couple of videos are going to be pretty low quality, because I don't have any equipment right now. I have my Samsung phone and an editing software, and I have no experience in making videos. I have no experience in editing videos. I'm just going to give it a shot, because I see how interesting this life can be, and I know that there's interest in it, because I've seen people live streaming truck driving simulations. It's like, so I obviously can't do that, because I can't respond to comments and things like that when I'm driving. I can't be looking at my phone when I'm driving. That's unsafe. So I'm going to try to give some kind of insight into my life and into how the transportation industry works. And, if you have any questions, I'd love to try to answer them the best of my ability. If you have any information for me that maybe I have blind sites or blind spots in my ways of operating, that, if you're a truck driver, you might be able to say, hey, if you do this, you can make more money, you can become more efficient, whatever. I'd love to hear it. But if you want to see more content from a guy trying to make it in the trucking industry, trying to make a living, trying to make something to pass down to my kids, subscribe. And I'm going to try to put out a video every week. They're going to progressively get better, because I'm learning, and I'm going to acquire some more recording equipment, stuff like that. I've been talking to my wife about this for years. She keeps telling me to do it, and I keep, dragging my feet, because I don't know if I'm interesting enough to point a camera at. I think this industry is, but I don't know if I'm interesting enough for people to say, hey, watch this guy, or I'm going to watch this guy next week. So if you have any suggestions on what you would like to see on the channel, like as far as what part of the trucking industry are you most curious about, and I'll do my best to try to expose some of that. There are some limitations to what I can record. A lot of these shipping and receiving centers, these warehouses, don't allow recording devices. I could be sued out the wazoo if I record something that I'm not supposed to. So I have to be really careful about when and where I record, and who I'm recording, and I have to get express permission from people, and all sorts of things I have to do, I know, to guard my own butt, because I am a limited liability company, so I have to try to protect that. I don't need any lawsuits. So I'm going to do my best to show what it is that I experience, and see how it goes. So like it, subscribe, share it, whatever you want to do. YouTube is not new. You know how that thing works. So for now, that's all. I'll try to get back to you sometime next week and see if I can find something interesting to record. Bye.